Okay, everybody. Hi, welcome. Welcome. It is so good to see you all. I'm in a different space. Things look different. I'm really excited, though, to be here and talking to you. I am here in Charlotte, North Carolina at my final destination and finally not sick and able to be in the rest of the house and and ready to be like full on back. I'm really excited. I'm back from KetoCon, so I got another couple weeks before anything happens again, or I have to go out of town. So I'm able to kind of get caught up and spend the time that I want to spend with you. So welcome. Actually, I have a lot of new followers and subscribers because, of course, I went to a KetoCon this weekend, which was an amazing keto carnivore conference. And it was an awesome opportunity to meet people from all over the country, meet people in real life who eat this way and who, value a food approach to healing the body. So that was really wonderful. Now, so if you're new here, my name is Ade. I'm otherwise known as Black Carnivore, and we talk about things to do with the carnivore diet here. And if you're super new and don't even really know what carnivore is, let me start by explaining that when I talk about a carnivore diet, that means one where you are eating primarily animal foods as your regular everyday food. So in the Black carnivore community, we kind of talk about it. Carnivore kind of has three buckets, the way I look at it. So you can be strict carnivore, moderate, or relaxed. So strict would be where you're eating nothing but food from the animal kingdom. So, it could be dairy, could be eggs, fish, beef, lamb, pork, chicken, whatever. And if you do moderate carnivore, that would mean you incorporate things like coffee, herbs and spices, low sugar fruits like avocados and olives. And then if you do relaxed carnivore, that means that you're also including things like artificial sweeteners. Like if you go to a restaurant and you order a dish and it comes with a side and you eat the side of the vegetable, like that puts you in that relaxed carnivore category. And some people might call that ketovore or just keto, frankly. Um, so there's a pretty broad spectrum of how you can approach carnivore. And that really is up to you to decide how you want to approach it. And you can be super strict during the day and then relax in the evening. You can be strict all week and then relax on the weekends. It's kind of up to you, the approach that you want to take. But I think that you do have to think about what your goals are in order to choose the right approach. And my my cousin is going away on a trip and has some fancy outfits that she wanted me to take a look at. So I just saw one, so that's what I'm laughing about. But anyway, so you want to choose the approach that works for you. And in fact, that's what we're going to talk about today is, kind of finding the right approach with carnivore. Because I feel like a lot of people come to it and, they have they're coming from a diet background. So there are all of these strict rules about what is carnivore, who is carnivore enough, who gets the carnivore prize, and this is carnivore, this isn't carnivore. And I don't think any of that is really helpful. At the end of the day here, the goal is not to be, Mr. and Mrs. Carnivore. It's not, even though I have a show that is called Mr. and Mrs. Carnivore, but the goal isn't to be the most carnivore. This is not a contest. The goal isn't to adhere to a strict set of rules. The goal is to find the right approach that is sustainable for you for the long term, that helps you to heal whatever it is you're doing, and then helps you to live life the way you want to. So, that's a very different thing. That's not getting into the label. It's really about like looking at the root cause and finding the right solution for you. So I think that, and I think that that approach is, it's really important, but it's one that I think often gets overlooked. And not everybody has the same goals. And I do think that there are sort of specific ways that you need to approach carnivore for specific conditions, and they are not necessarily the same. So I wanted to actually dive into that today. But before we do, let's see who's here in the chat. And if you are here and you're watching this, please hit the like button and subscribe and click that little bell icon so you can get notified every time I post a video. But it really helps if you tell YouTube that you like this content so that they will share it with more people and we can share, this incredible content with more people. So let's see, we've got Susie, hey, from Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome. So good to see you. And hey, Mona, nice to see you. So you are, you're loving my frames. Thank you. Thanks so much. This is the Oprah Square collection that I ordered on Amazon. I have been struggling to see things close up to me and to get new glasses. And people, so it is pretty surprising how often people's eyesight improves when they go carnivore, but that did not happen for me. And I think that the reason why that's happening is because that's indicative of damage caused by diabetes to the optical nerves. And once you stop eating so much sugar and you're able to bring your insulin and everything down, that damage clears up, and so your eyes improve. So I'm going to assume that I did not have that much damage due to diabetes in my eyes, but I don't know. But I wish more than anything I did not have to wear glasses. Okay. Hey, Danielle, it's good to see you. Regina, welcome. Oh, Georgia, nice. Nice. Hey, Terry, welcome. J Squared from Vegas. Awesome. So glad that you subscribed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Paula from Michigan. Wow, we've got people from all over. Welcome. I love it. And I've been in New York for so long, and it's nice to get out there. It's nice to have a chance to explore the country. I gotta say, I really liked Texas. I did not think that I was going to, but I really did. Austin was amazing, but I also really liked Houston. So it's not off the table for some time in the future for me to move there. So we'll see about that. Although that heat was something else. I don't know about all that, but but otherwise, probably September, October through April is probably going to be real nice there. And we'll see about everywhere at any other time. Okay, so let's dive in. So I hope it was clear. Hey, Evelyn, welcome from Toronto. So I hope it was clear what I mean when I say a carnivore diet. So I think a lot of times when I say carnivore to people, they assume I mean um, they just assume that I mean I do eat meat, not that I don't eat meat. So, they just assume it means omnivore, like, someone who's proudly omnivore, maybe. I don't know. So, it takes a while for people to kind of get that what I'm saying when I say I only eat meat, that it really means only meat. But if you are new here and this is a new concept for you, just try it on for size. Listen, watch some of my content, watch some of the testimonials from people who have been, doing really well on this, and see whether it's something you want to try. Okay, so, uh, anyway, um, let's see. Hey, country girl, welcome. And Shell, you are eating your chuck roast and soaking up the carnivore knowledge in South Carolina. Nice, nice. So I love that my Chuck Chunks are becoming my signature thing, and more people are out there trying it. So I highly recommend one of the easiest and quickest meals that you can make on carnivore is to get chuck roast or chuck steak even. But you get a piece of chuck, you cut it up into small bite-sized cubes, you cook it for 6 to 8 minutes in the air fryer, and it is delicious. and it's perfect. You can salt it, you can put herbs and, spices on it if you want. You can put butter on it if you want, or you can just have it by itself and it's perfect. That is, in my opinion, the ideal thing to have, and it's a go-to for me all the time. And it is chuck is the cheapest beef you can get. Well, it's one step up from ground beef in terms of cost. So the only thing cheaper would be ground beef. And so, it's a big cut of meat, so there's always a lot of it, and it has a perfect, fat to lean ratio. So it's a great option, and I highly recommend it. Um, okay, Glenda, welcome. Regina, hi. E. Taylor, welcome. And Terry says, yeah, chuck chunks are my weekly go-to. And today I added pork butt to my chuck chunks. So, in fact, yesterday I found, what was it? Chuck eye steak, which is the poor man's ribeye. So apparently it comes from the same place as well, sort of the same place as ribeye. It is a little bit higher up on the muscle, that whole, where the ribeye comes from. So it is more or less ribeye, but not quite. And apparently it's called like the butcher's cut because they usually take it before putting it out because it's a cheaper version of a ribeye, and it's very good. But I saw it out for sale for 8 something a pound, which is not cheap, but certainly cheaper than I've ever seen it. And I've never actually seen that cut on sale in New York City. So I had that chopped up along with pork butt. I cooked it all in the air fryer and it was delicious. So, mix it up with different kinds of meats as well. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. So, as I was saying, I think it's important to pair the right approach with carnivore to, the illness or the condition you're trying to treat. And I feel like I hear questions or I'm hearing advice from people that it doesn't match up for people. And the thing that I see most often people wanting to deal with is one, metabolic disease. So metabolic disease would include things like high insulin, glucose that is high or out of control, blood pressure that is high, so hypertension. Those are all indications that you have metabolic disease going on and likely will have cardiovascular disease as well. So those are obviously important conditions to address, and those are things that, that can be easily or I see quickly, dealt with by making significant changes in the diet by following a ketogenic and or carnivore diet. So that's one thing. I also see people who have autoimmune disease or a lot of inflammation do really well with eating this way. So things like chronic pain, constant puffiness and bloating, a lot of digestive problems are really inflammation, and and there are various kind of autoimmune diseases and inflammatory conditions. I struggle with asthma, eczema, and so those are definitely autoimmune in nature. And things like arthritis, that's also autoimmune. There's a portion of that that's autoimmune. And then I see people coming to carnivore wanting to deal with things like obesity, just, losing weight. And that can sometimes, happen easily and be no problem. And other times that can really be a struggle. And I think that you have to be aware that, your body is going to make the choice about what it wants to do, what is the most important thing to do, and focus on that. So sometimes some people have there's significant healing that needs to happen before just general weight loss, and so sometimes you hear about people going carnivore and All these other conditions, clear up, but they're not losing the weight that they wanted to lose, or they may even gain weight. So that may be something that you have to consider. What was the state of your health before, and is your health improving, and do you just need to be patient and wait? Um, so those are three like main kind of conditions that people come to carnivore with, and that I think can really be treated well. But those things, I think you kind of have to have a different approach for those three conditions. And I wanted to dive into that a little bit more deeply. But before I do, there's the I think that there's another reason why people get into carnivore, and that's kind of to, get super lean, get shredded, build muscle, and maybe people who are performance athletes, and do a lot of work in the gym. And I think that that group has a very specific needs, and that those needs may not match just a regular old person who decides to do carnivore. So if you're 50, perimenopausal, obese, and trying to get off of your diabetes medication, I don't know that the advice or recommendations from a performance athlete who is doing 2 to 3 hour workouts every day, what is right for them is not necessarily going to be right for you, because your health, your life, your bodies, and your activities are so different. So I think it's really important to be aware of that. And and there may be things that are necessary and important for a performance athlete that may not even be healthy, but they help them to be top of their field. I mean, I think that that's something you have to acknowledge, that being being the best athlete doesn't necessarily mean that you are the healthiest person. And I think that athletes and performance athletes are pushed to do things that may not be healthy, but that help them to excel in their career, in their field. And I certainly don't hold that against anybody. If you are a performance athlete, get the bag. Like, you need to do whatever it takes to be successful and to be your very best. And you need to also really target carnivore for your specific needs, and that may mean that you have to incorporate some carbohydrates. I've definitely heard, if you look at like Michelle Hearn, who is, she does a lot of long distance running, Zach Bitter, who also does a lot of long distance running. They talk about incorporating carbs while they're doing some of their training and while they're actually, running, but during their off season, sticking more carnivore. So I think that you just have to consider what your thing is. And I don't know enough about sports to really be able to tell you. I do get questions from people who are like, I want to build muscle and lose weight. I'm, at 9% body fat, and I want to get down to 6. And it's like that. That is a very specialized approach. And I think that to do that, from what I have observed from other people, you need to get really lean, and eat high, put your protein up very high and get your fat down pretty low. But there are some drawbacks to eating that way that you also have to consider. So, yeah, those are some differences. But at the end of the day, too, your body is going to tell you what it wants. And I think that I got tired of being at war with my body. I want to be at one with my body. We're partners, friends, and we're working together to let this body last as long as it possibly can, so that I can enjoy myself and experience the world and so on. So I encourage you to take that approach and not be at war with your body anymore, because you're not going to win. At the end of the day, your body's going to win. So let it, let it direct you in the way that it should best go. So, let's get back to like the three main things, just metabolic disease, autoimmune disease, and obesity. Those are those are three things that are somewhat related. I mean, they're related, but I feel like I've seen kind of differences in how people do carnivore in order to have success with each one of them. And I'd love to hear for your input, on this. If you feel like you have made some shifts in how you approach carnivore and you've seen differences in your conditions, I definitely want to hear about that. But I think that with autoimmune disease, I mean, one of the things that is so powerful about the carnivore diet, and I talk about this often, is that it is, of course, a ketogenic diet. So, like all the studies that are being done on a ketogenic diet show that being in a state of ketosis is incredibly beneficial for your metabolism, for your heart, and for your health overall. So all the benefits that you read about in those keto studies do apply in a carnivore diet. But I do think that there is something different going on with carnivore that you're not getting with keto. And that is removing foods that can be inflammatory from your diet. Now, we talk about one, dairy, two, anything that you specifically happen to be allergic to. So not everybody has a problem with dairy. So, if you have no problems with dairy and you're sure and you've tested it, taken it out, and you really have no problems, then knock yourself out. But some people have a problem with dairy. Some people have a problem with eggs. So if you have any problem with any food, don't eat it. That is a clear sign for you and your body. You don't, this is not for you. So that can help. But removing foods that are irritating to you is going to be number one in terms of dealing with autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease seems to, really come from, these substances that damage and, attack our bodies. So, things like gluten and damaging the gut, and dairy also damaging the gut and contributing to allergies and so on. There's all kinds of, if you watch my interview with Dr. Shafee, he talks about how, we're in this arms race with plants, and they're becoming more and more poisonous, and they are damaging to us. And that, if you look at, the science and biology, like it's quite clear that the plants have a huge chemical defense system, and it's a problem for us. So if you have any kind of autoimmune disease or inflammation, the first thing you're going to want to do is take out any foods that are irritating to you specifically and irritating to people in general. And you may have heard about the AIP diet, the autoimmune protocol, or people doing like an elimination diet. Well, yes, carnivore is like the ultimate elimination diet. Meat is irritating to almost no one. So that is kind of the best way to go to remove all of those things and kind of let your body calm down. And then you can start to reintroduce things if you want to see whether they're a problem. I did not do. So I didn't do all of that. I have struggled with allergies and eczema and asthma my whole life, and basically once I got relief, I was so overjoyed to just have relief that I didn't want to bother again. So I am not interested in trying out, different foods, seeing what would work, trying to incorporate new things. Like I just like to feel good, and I just want to stay there. I don't want to like mess around anymore or try to figure it out. But other people are not, exhausted by that effort the way I am. So if you're a person who has autoimmune disease, I think that being strict carnivore for a while is a great option, and then you can decide, what it is you really miss that you want to try to reincorporate, and see what things work for you or don't work for you. So, with with autoimmune and inflammation, like it can be hard to lose weight when you're super inflamed, because inflammation is part of the um, it's part of your what's the word I'm looking for? Immune system. So when you are inflamed, your body's like in high alert all the time, and that means that it's working overtime and also not able to deal with the real threats that are, floating around there and that you come in contact with every day, and while it's messing around with having reactions to the foods that you're eating. So when you finally take all that stuff out, your body, the inflammation finally has an opportunity to come down. Your gut has an opportunity to heal. Your body has an opportunity to heal. You'll find that once all that starts to come down, then it may be easier for you to lose weight. So if you were struggling with losing weight and you still have inflammation and autoimmune problems, then you might want to think about what are the things that you're eating that might be irritating to you. And like I said, dairy is like a massive culprit. So I know everybody loves cream, everybody loves butter, everybody loves cheese. I'm with you totally, but the reality is it's a problem for a lot of people. So if you are not seeing the success that you want, I would give it a try to cut it out and see how it works. It does not take long. Like when I cut it out, I mean, it was like within days, I could breathe, which was a huge problem. My asthma was totally out of control at the point that when I first started carnivore and when I took out dairy. So I had gone to urgent care twice. I could not breathe. I was taking prednisone and a gazillion other things. It was bad. So, but it was like overnight, it just stopped. As soon as I took out the dairy, it just stopped. So you may not need to take it out as long as you think in order to see whether there's any success. Okay, let's get back into the chat. Um, oh, Terry says, and don't forget, chuck chunks can be grilled too. I've never done that, so I'm eager to try. Like I said in my the interview that I did with Maria Emmerich, I can't wait to start smoking. So I'm going to be smoking food, smoking meats, all as much as I can. Hey, PLHHNW. Well, hey from Maryland. Country Girl loves Chuck Eye steaks. Yeah, they were the bomb. I was, very pleasantly happy with it. Very appreciative of it. VS006 says, Valerie in Virginia, on day 15, loving it, sleep better, happier mood, never hungry, cravings for sweets are gone. Yes, that is amazing. I love it. I love it. And it's a lot to unpack. No weighing yet. So that's great, and just focus on how amazing you feel, because that is the whole point of this, right? Is to feel better, to look better. So I know if you're getting better sleep, and you're in a better mood, already people are like, what are you doing? You're amazing. I want what you have. Okay. Let's see. Ms. J. Farrow says, Janine here says, so happy to find you. Started carnivore for RA symptoms. I already feel the difference. That's fantastic. So yeah, rheumatoid arthritis is definitely an inflammatory condition. So any way that you can bring the inflammation down is definitely going to help with that. And the people who struggle with chronic pain, I mean, I definitely feel sorry for that population. And my mom had chronic pain and was like, on all different kinds of medications, and towards the end, on opioids. And it just sucks, to know that you're going to be in this kind of pain forever. I mean, it's not going to just spontaneously get better. So to know that there is like a simple dietary change that you can make that can take you off medication altogether, or, reduce your pain by, 80, 90%, like that's huge. That is really huge. And, Janine, I'm so happy that you found that kind of relief. Um, Okay, Regina says my chuck chunks were tough. So your chuck chunks, if they were tough, they were too big. When I say bite-sized pieces, I mean I literally mean like cut the size of a die, like the die that you might use in a game, or in backgammon or whatever. The pieces have to be really small, and then they're not so tough. But if they're not small enough, like if you have to, if you can get 2 or 3 bites out of each one, that is way too big. So try again and let me know. I mean, chuck is a tough cut of meat. This is not going to be like ice cream or butter. But if the pieces are small enough, and you've got a good knife that can cut them into small enough pieces, they're not too tough to eat. Okay, so Ms. Janine says, I don't do eggs because my joints hurt, especially my knees with rheumatoid arthritis. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so like I said, not everybody has a problem with eggs, but eggs are a common problem for people. So some people can find that the yolks are good, but the whites are a problem, and other people, the whole thing is a problem. Uh, if that's you, then just no eggs. That's it. And that's okay. Like, feeling good is, the priority. Okay, my dog is doing something. Uh, okay, Country Girl says, I was suffering from anxiety. My mental is so clear now. I'm enjoying life more. My blood sugar number has been amazing. I get lab work in September, so I know my A1C will be lowered. Fantastic. That is awesome. And I forgot to put on this list mental health. Um, so mental health is one of those things that, I think so many of us struggle with mental health, but don't realize it, because you're like in the thick of it and you're just like, wow, the struggle is real. Life is hard, and I hate, this and that, and I hate my job, and your outlook is bad and all of that. And, we kind of normalize that. So the very first thing that everybody notices when they go carnivore is their mood improves and they feel great and just happier. And I used to find, my mood would be up and down, and it depended on, what things happened that day and who I saw and who said what and blah, blah, blah. And, or even like what number was on the scale or how I thought I looked and blah, blah, blah. But going carnivore, it's just like my mood just evened out. So every day, all day, it's just good. And my default state was feeling good. So that was a huge change for me. And but the thing that I notice for people is that the mental health stuff really shines when you get your fat way up there. And I think if you can even get as high as 2 grams, 2 to 1, get your fat to protein ratio 2 to 1. So if you're eating 100 grams of protein and 200 grams of fat, like that just lights up your brain. And the brain fog is gone. Like the healing in the brain is tremendous. The inflammation that's in the brain can really start to come down at that point and heal. And people just have an immense amount of energy and general happiness. Now, it may be difficult to lose fat at that weight. I mean, at that, with that amount of fat going on, but the mental stuff really can recede. So you can see how what I'm saying is like, you really kind of got to figure out what is your major symptom or what is your goal, and then sort of tweak the carnivore for that goal. So the benefits of the mental health may slow down the weight loss, but that might be worth it, if your mental health was really in the garbage. Like it might be worth it to feel good, to finally be clear-headed and be able to work more effectively. Okay. Hey, Paulette, welcome. It's so good to see you. Virgo lady, yes, you'll have to try these chuck chunks. Mandel says consider chuck chunks the size of cereal. And if they're tough, served in a cereal bowl of butter, I do that with London broil. Yeah, so if it's a small enough, piece of meat, it doesn't matter how tough it is. Like you're going to be able to eat that, no problem. And Country Girl asked, is it normal that your appetite is gone? I don't be hungry. I think something is wrong. I can't eat large portions anymore, even with one meal. If if I feel I'm not eating enough, or I feel I'm not eating enough. Yeah, that can happen, Country Girl. I mean, I think that, you got to listen to your appetite, and don't worry about it so much. And it's not required to do one meal a day. I know a lot of people like to do carnivore that way, but it's not required. And in fact, I decided to stick with 3 meals a day, 3 small meals, because I don't like to feel over full. Like I think that one that's triggering for me to end up eating more. Um, and I just don't like the feeling of being really, really full. I don't know. So that's just me. That's weird. So now I kind of limit my meals to, between 4 and 5 ounces, and then I have, multiple meals a day. So if, so you may want to eat smaller amounts. Um, and then you also have to recognize that your appetite changes in carnivore. So you're not going to feel hungry in the same way, and you have to look for different signals that than what you normally would look for. So, things like being tired, fatigued, um, irritable. You're not going to get hangry like you used to, where you get like kill somebody over some Snickers. But you might feel like you're more irritable, like you're a little testy, like that can happen. So so pay attention for that, and then eat a small amount. Don't but forget about doing these like mega meals, these one meal a days. Just have a smaller meal more frequently, and you'll be fine. And you may not eat as much food as you once did. The only sign that you are eating dangerously little is, if you like are feeling fatigue, you're not healing, you work out and you're not recovering that well, losing hair, God forbid, then you really need to be concerned. But if you are, keeping your protein, I mean, I don't know how tall you are, what you're doing, but if you're a woman and you're keeping your protein somewhere between 75 and 125 grams, you're in range to be properly nourished. If you're getting less than that, it's going to be hard on a regular basis. If you're getting less than that, it might be hard. Um, Okay, Mandel says I'm going for a checkup for the first time this decade. Wow. Wait. Oh wait. No, we're only in 2022. Okay. But anyway, awesome. And you're 50. So any tests that you recommend, so of course they're going to do the A1C, they're going to do, the cholesterol panel. Likely your cholesterol is going to come back high. And so if they do that, you should ask for an advanced panel where they actually are looking at, your particle size and whether you've got, fluffy buoyant LDL or dense and small LDL, and that's gonna give you some relief about what's going on. You can also get the CAC score, the coronary artery test, where they're actually looking, at your arteries and looking for calcium, and you can tell. I mean, you're a little on the young side, but so the test is a little bit less effective with a younger person, but you can still do it. And I'm not sure, you know, how young is, too young, but you can definitely ask for that. And that's relatively inexpensive test. So if your doctor is, kind of pushing back, you can pay for it yourself. Like, I think it's like $75. So, but you could push them to get them to try to bill the insurance company, and we'll see. So good luck with that. Mona Smith says, I work for a rheumatologist, and it's sad that this diet is never discussed with patients, but IV or IV biologics are the first line of treatment. Therefore, I've become a walking billboard of this channel. Nice, nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, it is sad. I mean, it is sad that we would waste so much of our lives, like our productive lives, being in pain and unable to participate in the world. Spend that level of money on medication that is totally unnecessary, when a dietary change can make a difference in a matter of days to weeks. It doesn't even take that long. I mean, inside of 2 weeks you could have your pain reduced by 90% if you're struggling with inflammation or autoimmune disease. So yeah, so there you go. Okay, so Terry says, even if I get angry at something, I handle it different. Mental health is everything. Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And J Squared says, appetite came back for me after being carnivore for a month. Oh, okay, yeah. So in the beginning, there's a lot of changes going on in your body, and you kind of have to give yourself a little time for that. I also noticed that in the beginning, people will, they'll say, "Oh, I'm sick of meat. I don't want to eat any meat. Like, I can't stand to even look at meat." Usually, to me, that's a sign that you're not eating enough fat. And so you're still hungry, you're still interested in eating, but protein, you've hit your protein needs, so your body is just like, oh, I don't want any more of that. And then you don't know how to get yourself some fat, and so you're just hungry and don't want to eat protein or meat. So that's usually what I see happens, and you just need to eat more fat, and you need to get fatty cuts of meat, not just trying to eat a stick of butter, but get fatty cuts of meat. Okay, Mandel says, oh, got a piece of ice there. Mandel says, my appetite ebbs and flows. Oftentimes it's a healing thing. Some days I'm not hungry and I don't eat, and other days I'll eat. The heat can kill my appetite too. Yeah, so, appetite, yeah, is definitely something that is very influenced by your environment, what's going on, your sleep, the heat, the humidity, all of those things. Yeah. Evelyn says, I'm craving meat and salt. Now, is that normal? I eat twice a day. Yep, that is totally normal. Um, cravings are your body communicating with you, and your desires, the things that you like. That's your body saying, hey, that's good. I want more of that. And the things that you find disgusting or unappealing, that's your body saying, I don't like that. No more of that. And you should absolutely listen to that. That's your body telling you what it needs. And no one knows what it needs better than it. So, yes, if you are craving meat and salt, that means you need meat and salt. And, you want to like pay attention to exactly what the craving is. Is it meat or is it fat and salt? Those are, kind of different things. And you want to, make sure that you're giving it the thing that it wants. Um, yeah, Douglas says, yes, it's normal. I only eat twice a day too. Yep, totally normal. Um, Yeah, and Delilah. So this is a married black and carnivore. These are the amazing couple, Delilah and Barry, whose show is going to premiere again on Saturday. They did they're doing a series of shows about the carnivore diet in a for married couples, and I think it is an awesome series, and it's their first effort. So they're learning YouTube and learning video and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's really interesting. So I encourage you all to go and watch it. The first two episodes are live, or, you can see. I interviewed them the prior week, and then last week was their first show on their own. And then we'll have another one this Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Okay. Um, so Virgo Lady says, I finally made the brown butter that you raved about, and oh my God, it's dangerously delicious. Yeah, yeah, it is dangerously delicious. So I will put that caveat there, that it is really delicious, and you can eat too much. And if you're struggling to lose weight, like that's another thing that everyone says, have butter, eat tons of butter, 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 butter. Well, you can have butter, and I say have it for flavor, but don't just eat tons of it for no reason, because that will slow down your weight loss. Unless you are a very, very active person who is burning a lot of calories, you don't need all of that many calories. And you have to ask yourself, are you middle-aged, working a desk job, don't have a lot of hobbies and activities, drive to work and drive home, like don't walk anywhere, like that. If that's you, your calorie needs, your I should say your energy needs on a day-to-day basis, are not they're not that great. And so if you're eating a lot of extra butter without having a place for that energy to go, you may not see the weight loss that you're looking for. Doesn't mean that you're going to be unhealthy, but you may not have the fat loss that you're looking for. Um, Brown butter, and I find personally that dairy is just one of those foods that makes you eat more. So if whatever I'm eating, if I put cheese on it, I'm going to eat more of it, because it's just, I don't know, there's something about dairy that is just more-ish, they say, like you just have more. And butter is that way for me as well. So if I put butter on food, I'm going to have more of the total food, um, than I would otherwise have. That being said, brown butter is absolutely delicious. Encourage you all to make it, and you'll see how delightful it is. And if you're a person who is in better control of your appetites, then it's no problem for you. But if you're a person who likes to, just keep tasting and eating, then, you're going to have to have a little bit of discipline about it. Okay, so Mike01 says, hi to all. Can I ask you, how do you feel about dairy? Have you ever tried them grass-fed and raw, or does it make a difference on you, supposing you eat them? If yes, what kind of dairy do you prefer? So, some people do raw dairy and they rave about it, and they say it has made all the difference. It's healed their gut inflammation, their, celiac disease, or whatever their thing is going on. So if, I think that's great. If that works for people, that's great. When I quit dairy, as I said, my asthma was at its absolute worst. I had gone to urgent care twice. I was on prednisone. I was on Advair. They also gave me, Flonase, and a bunch of other stuff. So I was on a lot of steroids, essentially. That's all that stuff was. And everything, it was really just really bad. So as soon as I stopped dairy and could breathe and like didn't need my asthma inhaler, because even with all of the steroids and everything, I was still using my rescue inhaler multiple times a week. So, my asthma was not under control. I would not consider it to be under control. So, as soon as I took out the dairy, all of that just stopped. I mean, it was like a light switch. It just stopped. And I didn't need my inhaler for, I mean, until I ate cheese again, I didn't notice that I wasn't using my inhaler and didn't need it. So I decided to cut out all dairy and I was done experimenting. Was struggled so much with breathing. And that last night before I went to urgent care, like I could not breathe. It was like 4 in the morning. I couldn't breathe. And I basically had to sit up like this, with my arms up and just every breath, like I had to put a huge amount of effort to draw air in. And I was like counting down the minutes until 8 o'clock when the urgent care place opened up. And I had 4 hours and I was so tired and I wanted to sleep. I couldn't breathe, so I couldn't sleep, but it was awful. So, that's what I think about when I think about eating dairy. And I have no interest in trying it. I don't miss dairy enough to risk ever feeling like that again. So, so it's up to you, is what I'll say. I definitely ate raw cheese during, my cheese eating career, and I can't say I noticed a difference for me. But I didn't do a proper experiment where I, cut out all dairy and then it reintroduced only raw dairy and blah blah blah. I didn't do that, so I can't really say. Um, so I'm not going to experiment, but you can experiment. And at the end of the day, this is your body. So if you like cut out dairy, you find you feel 100%, and then you reintroduce dairy, and your good feeling drops down to 88%. I'm not you. You might decide that 88% is good enough, and you feel, and that's fine. So, Mike, if you feel fine and you feel good enough, you feel as good as you want to feel, and you enjoy eating the dairy, eat it. Don't worry about it. Like there's, no crime. Nobody's gonna give you a hard time. And let's see, Douglas says, as long as it's full fat dairy and does not contain seed oils, it should be fine. I would eat the dairy that you can afford. Hmm. Um, if you can get raw dairy, I don't know. It sounds like it's a challenge in some places. Full fat for sure. Uh, I can't imagine why any dairy would have seed oil in it unless it is very processed. And so, yes, in that case, I would say do not eat very processed dairy. It should not have added, seed oils or anything. So, yeah. Nikki says cheese makes everything better except liver. Cheese does make everything better, definitely. And Mike says, if you crave, I try to eat fatty meats. Something that tastes sweet are seafood like octopus, squid, crustaceous, eggs, butter, ground beef from some meat cuts. Also, liver tastes sweet to me. Hmm. So, yeah, all of those things are true. Actually, I was looking at sea scallops, like that's one of my favorites. And I think it has like 8 grams of carbs per like 4 or 5 ounce serving. So, I mean, it's not ridiculous, but that's considerable considering most other meat has none. So, or less than one. So scallops definitely taste sweet. And like you said, certain kinds of seafood, taste more sweet, liver as well. Um, but I find for me, when you're having cravings, getting a lot of fat in can really be helpful. And I know that a lot of times people have the instinct to eat something when they're having a craving and eat something fatty, but the thing that they choose is like equally fat and protein. So, something like cheese, like when people have a craving and they eat cheese and they're trying to get their fat up, like cheese isn't going to do it because it's like got equal amounts protein and fat. What you really need is to eat fat. And that is something that's a little bit, unusual for us. Or it's not acceptable in our culture anymore. So a lot of us struggle. I mean, I get this question all the time, like, how do I get fat up? Like, if I'm not eating seed oils, olive oil, you know, where am I supposed to get fat? And that is one of the reasons why I love Chuck Chunk so much, because Chuck is, the fat to protein ratio is about 80/20, which is, is perfect, and that will really help you with your appetite. So that's one way. And then the other is just go to the store and ask for, you can either get pork belly, which is, the belly of any animal is the fattest part of the animal. So that's a great place to get fat. And ask them for the butcher for beef fat trimmings or pork fat trimmings. So that fat, you can just fry it up, salt it, and fry it up and eat it. And it is delicious. I mean, delicious. So, when you get a steak and, and it's cooked to perfection, so it's all crispy and crunchy and brown and caramelized on the outside, and the fat is all brown and crispy. And, when you cut into the fat, and you bite into it, and it does, you don't even have to chew it. It just sort of melts into nothingness in your mouth. That that's what you want, and you can have that. It's not just like, you get one piece of steak and maybe you get a few bites of that kind of fat on it. Like, you can get the fat directly from the butcher. Sometimes they'll give it to you, sometimes they'll sell it to you. You can get that and you can just fry it up and eat it and eat all of that you want. And that is what is going to make you feel awesome. Brain just firing on all cylinders, no cravings, not hungry, not thinking about food, none of that, and that is a level of satisfaction that, you probably haven't felt, God, since you were breastfed. I mean, it's been a long time since many of us have been that satisfied. So, that's what I recommend. And so, like I was saying, like, if you've got the mental health stuff, eating that fat is I mean, it is just going to skyrocket your healing. If you've got a metabolic disease, that can really help. Now, and I actually wanted to get back to talking about the metabolic disease. It's been running my mouth here. It can help also with the autoimmune and inflammation, because it really can help to, bring the inflammation down. But, if you're eating a lot of fat, it might slow down your weight loss, but that is okay. We're also talking about healing. And it might not. Some people, like, it causes no slowdown. So don't assume that it is going to be the worst. Okay, let's see. Um, let's see. Mendel says spreadable butter is cut with seed oil. I know. And why? Why? And I guess I don't understand why people feel they need spreadable butter. If you really like that texture of butter, like, just leave it out. And then, you have that texture with butter. Like, I don't understand why we need to purchase spreadable butter. Um, yeah. Um, Mike says, exactly, some carbs, but it's glycine. Um, I think you're talking about the sweetness from the meats. Yeah, yeah. And having some carbs is not necessarily a problem. And I think that is why we in the, carnivore community kind of went from calling it zero carb to calling it carnivore, because there were people who were coming into it with the idea that, if less carbs is good, zero carbs is better. And as long as it's zero carbs, it's no problem. But that meant, like, no liver and no scallops, yet, diet soda, is fine. So that doesn't really carry forth the message that people want to carry forth. And I think that was, the idea behind kind of changing the name from zero carb to carnivore. So yes, having carbs is fine and can happen when you're on carnivore, if you're eating, especially if you're eating like milk and stuff like that. And there are people who I don't know why, but love milk, drink it like a beverage, and are doing well with it, and they're getting more carbs, and that's fine. If it fits their needs and their goals, it's fine. So I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, Mike says, I don't know if it's only a, a mind impression, but I digest better staple normal butter than ghee. I don't know, maybe because the fact that ghee is burnt, changing the fat composition and digestibility. I don't know. I think that I do better with ghee, but I eat both. That might just be you. But if that's something that you feel, then I would honor that because, like I said before, your body sends its signals to you in terms of how you feel. So if something makes you feel less good, doesn't matter how good the world says that thing is, it's not good for you. And I used to eat raw kale salads from oh, I forgot what that place is called. Au Bon Pain, that restaurant. And it would be like these raw kale salads with a cashew dressing or cashew milk dressing or something like that. And and I was so virtuous for ordering this, and everyone would look at me like, oh, look at you, and you're eating this amazing thing, blah blah blah. And then I would eat it, and it would take a lot of work, take a long time to eat. It's a lot of chewing, and for the rest of the afternoon, for 2 or 3 hours, I'd be in the bathroom. And I finally said, you know what? I don't care what they say. The kale may be a superfood. It may be the best thing you ever had. This just does not work for me, and I'm sick of being stuck in the bathroom, and I'm not doing it again, and I'm done with it. So I don't know. There may be things that you particularly just don't vibe with, and that's totally fine. Excellent. Hey, Chris, welcome. So glad you are here. Okay, Erica says the butchers I go to have been using all their fat trimmings. Yes, well, they will say that they use their fat trimmings to make the ground beef. Um, that happens. So bummer. I guess you're gonna have to go to some more butchers. Okay, so IR Steven says a question about pork belly. Every time I'd gotten it and cooked it, it tastes very bland, unseasoned. Am I just not using enough salt? Should I salt it like a steak and let it sit for a while? Yeah, if it tastes bland, you got to use way more salt, way more. And so on carnivore, my need for salt and my desire and taste for salt has gone way up. So definitely what tastes normal to me, I know tastes salty to other people. Um, and you just need more salt. And don't be afraid to go up, even if, try to go up as far as you can till it becomes, just before it becomes unpalatable. And that should be perfect. And so I'll give you a sneak peek. I did a video interview with, uh, with someone at KetoCon, and I'm going to release it in the next couple of days. But the advice she gave was to season your bacon, which I had just never heard of, never occurred to me, never thought about it. But you should season it like your steak. So I don't know. So yes, I think you probably need to put more seasoning on it. I'm cool with it just being salt, but you might like, I don't know, Old Bay or Lowry's or I don't know, paprika, lemon pepper, whatever. So yeah, mix it up, try some different stuff. Okay, Chris says Kerrygold whipped butter, leave that out and you're good to go. Yep. hmm Any butter at room temperature is delicious. And Virgo lady, yeah, you're right. Any butter at room temperature is spreadable. So I don't really understand why we need to purchase spreadable butter. Really doesn't make sense. Okay, Meat-Based Musing says, how do you feel about using MCT, coconut oil, and avocados to up fats? You know, I I think the majority of your fat needs to come from animals, and then you can add some of these other things for accent, for flavor, for fun, or whatever. Um, I don't like avocados, so no matter how I'm eating, I'm never going to eat avocados. So I don't really, they're not in my wheelhouse, but I don't, when people say they are carnivore and they eat avocados, I accept that. Like, that's fine to me. It's a low sugar fruit, it's high in fat. If it doesn't bother you and irritate you, then, it's fine. Um, as far as coconut and MCT oil, like, I think that, I mean, the most of the ways that people are consuming this is in the form of a bulletproof coffee. I don't, I don't really see people eating these things in any other context. So, bulletproof coffee, I think, can be helpful in for the mental health stuff. It can, if you're going to work out, like, it really can give you a burst of energy. But if you are trying to lose weight, it might be the obstacle keeping you from losing weight. So that is something to consider. Also, remember, fat is not just like a thing that, you're using to up your calories or up your fat. Like, fat has stuff in it that you want. And so refined fat that's coming in the form of the MCT oil, the coconut oil, avocado oil, or any kind of processed oil. I mean, all of those things, even though they're, sort of minimally processed, they're still a process. They're not in their original form. So you're not getting everything that comes in the fat. And the same goes true for adding tallow or adding lard to something. If you're eating the actual piece of fat that comes on the piece of meat, that is unprocessed. And you want the bulk of your diet to be unprocessed. And then you can add in these other things, as flavor, or for interest. So, so that's kind of like the approach that I take there. And if you, like, are doing your bulletproof coffee, it's working for you, and you're happy with your progress and where you are, then, I think it's fine. But if you're trying to, like, eat London broil and then, add an avocado to it and, a bulletproof coffee, like, that's not a natural way to eat. You want to, like, eat the meat and the fat that naturally come together, and make and get the bulk of your fat that way. Uh, okay, so Douglas says, whenever I smoke pork belly, I always use plenty of Redmond's real salt. Letting the salt sit on the meat helps. Don't do it for too long, because letting salt sit too long will draw out moisture. Yeah, so actually, if you do salt it and you let it sit, you got to let it sit long enough for the salt will draw the moisture out of the meat, and there'll be puddles of water on it. And then if you let it keep sitting, that water will slowly sink back into the fat, drawing the salt, I mean, into the meat, drawing the salt into the meat with it. And so the meat will taste salty, not just on the outside, but on the inside too. But that's a longer process. And if you cook it, like, while after you've put the salt on and water has, pooled on the top, then you're going to have a really tough cut of meat. But if you wait a couple of hours, maybe it might be 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and that water gets back in, then it will be moist and delicious. But if you're going to let it sit like that, that's sort of dry aging, you want to put that back in the fridge and let it sit uncovered in there. So, um, so yeah, that's an approach. And let's see. The Dark Chris says, question about salt. Do you feel like you eat more than you normally would when you salt your food? I feel like my appetite skyrockets when I add salt. Huh. I think salt definitely makes food taste better for me, but I don't think it skyrockets my appetite. Um, so that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that means that you need more salt, because if your body's like, hey, this is the only time I'm getting salt with some food, so yeah, let's pack it in. That might be what's going on. I don't know. That would be interesting to study. Yeah, and Mike says cashew milk makes me remember an interesting news. France has banned the using of meat word in vegan products. For example, fake meat burger in France is banned. Trivia. Yeah, that's important, and I'm really glad to hear that because we there needs to be a distinction made. Meat is not Impossible Burger is not meat; it's something else, and we shouldn't call it that. Meat-based musing says, I've tried that 8A. I like slap your mama seasoning on the bacon. Okay. It never occurred to me to do anything like that before. So when she said that, I was like, wow. So I am really excited to give it a try. And sounds like you like it, meat-based musing. So, I like it. Yeah, Chris, delishable. That's a new word. Delishable. Um, okay, so Mike says MCT, coconut, and avocado still superior to seed oil if they are extra virgin, and the majority of them are poor quality, like avocado oil and rancid. Yeah, I think that it's hard to say what foods, what oils are okay or what's rancid. I don't think we really know. We can know the quality of some of the foods that we're eating. I mean, for instance, when I was doing keto, like every afternoon, like clockwork at 3 o'clock, like I had to have nuts. I would just go and get the cheap ones that you see hanging in the store that say 99 cents, and it's like 3 ounces of peanuts, salted peanuts. And now, in retrospect, I understand that what I really needed was the salt, and this was before we knew about salt or electrolytes, and before anybody talked about that, even before we were using the word keto. So now I know what I really needed was salt. But what I was getting out of those nuts was, I think, rancid seed oil. I mean, these are not high quality nuts. They're 99 cents. They're sitting around in the bodega for God knows how long. They're probably moldy too. Like, I think that I was dosing myself with rancid, bad quality seed oils and probably mold as well. So it was no wonder that those they did not help me to feel better at all. Okay. So Jeanette says, my girl had good success with carnivore, 6 weeks, and then a severe manic episode, medication changes, and personal upsets also. I think carnivore made her aggressive. Is that possible instead? Is that possible? Atkins instead. Um, so I don't know. I think this is one of those questions that I often have for people when people talk about mood, their mood getting worse or them getting aggressive, is, exactly how much fat to protein were they having? Because I think, like I've talked about here, and I've gotten off track again, but I think that there are people who talk about doing higher protein, lower fat as a way to lose weight and really get lean. And I think that approach is maybe what is necessary to get shredded when you're already pretty lean and you're trying to, shave off the last bit of body fat and you're trying to build muscle. That may be the approach of keeping your protein high and your fat low. But there is a consequence, a mental consequence to eating that way. And that is usually that, a level of depression, and mental instability and aggression. So I would ask, how much fat was your friend having? And and would they, and would they be into trying it again where they keep the fat really high, where you're, eating your fat to protein grams, keeping them 2 to 1. So, if you're eating 100 grams of protein, you're eating 200 grams of fat. Because if you're doing that, um, that helps a lot. But also remember that carnivore does not make us Superman. We will die, we will get sick, we will eventually, die. Like, illness still happens. So some things, we're able to mitigate. It doesn't mean that we can avoid all things. And so, a lot of things are very much improved by carnivore, but it could be that, your friend needs a combination of the dietary change and medication. So, that's something else that has to be considered as well. Okay, Paulette says, when do people stop leaving butter at room temperature? I know. I think that is an excellent question. And I get questions all the time, like, how long can I leave butter out, before it goes bad? So, yeah, I think we need to do some re-education. So butter doesn't go bad. If you leave a lot of crumbs in it and food in it, the food will go bad, but the butter itself is not going to go bad. I mean, not in the time that it takes for you to eat it. I mean, you can have it out for 6 months. It's not going to go bad. And I would be shocked if you could keep butter for 6 months and not eat it. So there you go. Um, okay, Douglas says it depends with me if my body needs more salt. Otherwise, I eat about the same whether my meat is heavily salted or not. Okay. Steve, a global traveler, says greetings from Korea. Long time no see. Hey, Steve, welcome back. It is good to see you again. Sorry, but super chat not working from here right now, but I'll help out ASAP. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah, so everyone, Steve, the global traveler, loves to do super chats to support the channel. I provide, tons of free content, and I, love to see people do well on this way of eating. So I want to continue to, to do these live streams and to and to share and to help people with carnivore. So I'd love to get your support. Go ahead and give a super chat if you can. That would be great. And I guess I should jump in now and say, one, there are a lot of people here, so click that like button and subscribe and click the bell icon so that you can get notified every time I post a video. So, your support really helps making sure that, YouTube knows this is content that people want. The other thing that I wanted to say is that I'm getting ready to launch a course. So I do want to help as many people as possible, and I've got a lot of video, and I like making these videos. So I'm making a course just to help you kind of figure out what path of carnivore is right for you based off of, your symptoms or what you're trying to address. And just like we're talking about tonight, whether you're dealing with mental health things or inflammation or, whether it's metabolic disease and you need to get your insulin down, you need to get your blood pressure down. Those are all important things. And I think that they take there's different things that you need to do on carnivore in order to achieve those goals. So, so the advice that you get from one influencer might be different from another because their perspectives are different and what they're trying to accomplish is different. Doesn't mean that either of those approaches are necessarily wrong. It just might be that your goal is not matching up with what you're being told to do in terms of the way you do carnivore. So you want to really make sure that these things align, and then you will see the success that you want to see. But kind of going back and forth, trying this person, that person, what all these different people are saying to do, and you're trying different things every couple days, like that's just not going to get you anywhere, unfortunately. So I want to help you skip all of that and actually make good progress on your goals. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Oh, so what I was saying is that I want to launch this course in I am going to be launching it in about 2 weeks. If you are interested in getting this information, you can make sure that you're signed up on my email list. So if you go to blackcarnivore.com, you can sign up there. Like there's a thing to sign up and to get my free 3-day meal plan for carnivore. So I encourage you to, if you have not already fill that out, and then you'll get onto my email list, and I will be emailing everyone very shortly to, to share the launch of the course, and that's going to come probably with a community that is not on Facebook because a lot of people, surprisingly, a lot of people do not like Facebook. So I'm trying to, create a space that is off Facebook. Of course, the Facebook group is still going to continue. But for people who are taking the course and taking some of the other materials I offer, we'll have another space and community area for that. So stay tuned. Make sure you're on the email list, and I'll get you that information as soon as possible. Glenda says, "What do you think about Dr. Paul Saladino's stance against bacon?" Oh my God, like what? Since when is he against bacon? Oh my God, I don't know. I don't know. I am not. That's crazy. I don't know. I So yeah, I am not opposed to bacon. I think it's fine. So, get the best quality you can. You probably want to find good quality pigs, but I don't know. Maybe avoid Smithfield and Oscar Mayer, but even still, I mean, I have some fields. I don't know. I don't know. Mike says MCT, coconut, and avocado oil aren't containing fat soluble vitamins like K2, A, D. Only avocado contains E. In a paleo keto approach, are okay, even if you would prefer butter, tallow, lard, duck fat. Um, yeah. So, yes, those things, those vitamins are they're often not in vegetable or seed oils, and you're going to get those things that you need from animal fats. So if you're eating, a good quality animal fat diet or, carnivore diet, you're getting enough animal fats so that if you're also consuming MCT oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil, it's okay because, that's sort of going on top of what you're already getting, in a normal, when you're eating a normal amount. But if you are not eating a lot of animal fat and you're eating like avocado mayo and, or mayo made with coconut oil and bulletproof coffees, then you're going to suffer because you're not getting the stuff that's in the actual fat. And I think it's not just like the vitamins. There's just stuff contained in meat that hasn't even been fully, studied or discovered. So there may be things that we're besides the vitamins that we're not even thinking of that still provide some benefit. There's still in studies about liver, there's an anti-fatigue factor, which they have not identified what it is, but it exists. Like, it just somehow gives whoever eats it more energy and more stamina. So, um, so there's stuff in fat. It's worth eating on its own, all by itself. Um, Okay, so Paula says Jeanette Hasberg was medication manic episode. Withdrawal under doctor's supervision. Um, yeah, well, definitely if there are are adjustments in medication going on that can, that's going to overwhelm what changes you might be able to make with food in the short term. So that's definitely that sounds like a struggle. Um, Okay, Glenda says I take a teaspoon of MCT oil every day due to my neurological condition. I couldn't imagine my healing process without it. That's awesome. So I'm glad that it's really making a difference for you. So MCT oil is a particular kind of oil. It's medium chain fatty acids, and those are oils that your body can't store, so it uses it for energy when you take it. So it gives you a lot of energy, and it can help with I guess it's easily used in the brain, and so it can just give you, like, people with Alzheimer's or other kind of cognitive impairment find a lot of improvement when they add MCT oil. So if you're finding that it's helpful, then, obviously keep going with it. But it sounds to me like you're not using MCT oil as your nutrition. It's like an added supplement that gives you improvement in your neurological condition, but it's not providing you your daily substance. Um, so it's the combination of, like, being on the carnivore diet and then adding the MCT oil that's helping with your condition. So that's fantastic. Um, and let's see, Chris says my balancing fat protein has been great for satiety and my mood has been way more stable. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad. Um, Mona says, is there any benefit of choosing pink salt versus real salt or table salt, or does it matter? Um, I think it doesn't really matter, but I definitely notice a difference in taste. And so from that perspective, it matters to me. I think that there's some salt that is more mineral dense than others. You're probably not getting a lot of benefit from Morton's, the salt with the girl with the yellow slicker on. But Redmond's real salt, you're getting a lot of minerals in there. So, you know, I don't know. Uh, if you want a discount, Redmond's real salt, you can use the link that's in the description of this video. There should be a link to get either 10 or 15% off on your order of salt with Redmond's. So I highly recommend you do that because I like their salt. I use it. I use it all the time, and I think it's good. The pink salt, Himalayan pink salt. I used to get that. Now I don't. I don't know. I don't really have a reason why I don't. I actually like Redmond's sea salt, so that's kind of what I get. Um, let's see. Frederick Leclerc says, I used to use salt all the time. Then I ran into problems like bloating, fatigue, electrolyte issues down the road. Did you ever run into this problem? Maybe too much salt. Yes, yes. So electrolytes is a whole other thing, and I should definitely do another show soon about it. But yes. So I think that your need for salt changes over time as you do carnivore and as you heal and you get better at it. How much you need will fluctuate, and some people need more salt as they go on, and some people need less salt. And I find that most people, I want to say like 75% of people benefit by having more salt and more electrolytes, but there is a sizable minority that benefits by severely reducing or excluding entirely salt. So if you might be that person, and there are definitely carnivores who use no salt, no electrolytes, no nothing. Um, Nutrition with Judy, who wrote The Carnivore Cure, does talk about that. You can kind of get into this position where you're like trying to uh, supplement electrolytes, and you're knocking yourself out of balance because you're having too much of this and this, and it's like a seesaw. So you're going, you're just rocking back and forth like that. And sometimes you got to get off the seesaw and just let things sort themselves out, and without you supplementing, they can sort themselves out. And some people just do better with very little to none. So that could be you. Um, okay, so Chris said, side note, air fried some boneless short ribs that I cut into strips, and I think that was the best piece of fatty meat I ever ate. Nice. Oh my gosh, you've got to tell us how you did that. Because I think I tried to air fry short ribs. Short ribs are very they're tough. That is a tough cut of meat. And I tried air frying them, and I feel like it didn't work out for me. But I didn't cut them into small pieces, so I don't know. So tell me how you did it. Um, Mommy does keto. Yeah, leaving butter and bacon grease out all the time is perfect. Oh my God, Douglas, thank you for the super chat. You are amazing. Thank you so much. So this is, he's here. He understood the assignment. He is here to support and to, and to keep the channel going. So awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, sorry, I'm thirsty. Glenda says, Paulette, yes, I see continuing improvements as far as brain clarity and decreasing brain fog. I can tell the difference when I don't have it. And I think Glenda is talking about the MCT oils. And Glenda, absolutely, you must have it. Have it. I am not, opposed to adding those things if they are providing benefit. But if they're not providing, if you're not noticing anything specific, then it's not worth having. But if you are noticing something, then absolutely, have it. Butter also has MCT oil in it. It doesn't have as much as MCT oil, because that is all medium chain fatty acid. But if you're getting coconut oil, that has, I think, like 12% MCT. Butter has, I don't know, maybe it has more, but it still is some percentage of it is MCT. So you will get those benefits, even from eating butter. But if you have something significant going on, you may need more, in which case, that's worth doing. The other thing that I did too at the KetoCon, HVMN makes a ketone drink that it's external exogenous ketones. It's a precursor to the ketones that your body makes. So you're basically giving it the fuel that your body would then turn into ketones. So it's exogenous. It drives your ketones up, and you get this mental boost, just like you might feel with coffee, but without like the edge and the jitteriness and anxiety that comes with coffee. So I don't know. For some of you who are looking for more energy and more brain clarity, that's something to consider. Now, that product is super expensive. So it is not something that I would recommend that you just get on and do the rest of your life. It's not like just having a cup of coffee. It's very expensive, but I would say I noticed a significant difference using it. So that's something to consider. Yeah, that's something to consider. I don't think I don't have a link up for that, so I'll have to share it. But it's a pretty good. It was a pretty good product. Okay, so Melissa says, hello everyone, first time here, love your videos. My challenge are these hot flashes. Anybody have success getting rid of them with Carnivore? I'm just starting. Yeah, Melissa, I'm gonna try to do a show on menopause, because I know I get a lot of questions about that. And I don't talk about it enough. So, but I will say that I've definitely heard of people coming out of menopause and starting menstruation again. I don't know if that's something that's appealing to you, but that has definitely happened on Carnivore. And generally the hot flashes and that stuff gets a lot easier, and it gets a lot better when you can bring your insulin down, because it's when your insulin is high, like that contributes to causing those hot flashes. But I noticed that things that to do with them with the hormonal cycles, menstrual cycle, it takes a month or two to actually see the difference. So the things that you're doing now, you're going to see the outcome of that in 30 to 60 days. So just give it some time. I know you're just starting, but that is going to take some time. So, but good question. Douglas says pink salt and Redmond's real salt are better salts to consume. The main difference between the two is taste. Most table salt has some small traces of sugar in it to keep it from clumping. Yeah, or rice. When you go to the restaurant, you see the little rice in the salt. Yeah, that's a thing. But I feel like I go through so much salt, so frequently that that I like to mix it up and try different stuff. I've actually been really curious about getting the black salt from Hawaii. Get salt from around the world, try different things. You're going to go through a lot of it. So you'll have plenty of opportunity. It's not like in the olden days when you get that one, box of Morton salt that's up in the cupboard for, 10 years and you're still using that same container. I go through one container a month. So I'm moving through it pretty quickly. Okay, let's see. Um, oh wait, meat-based musings. He's being sensational at that point. At this point, are you talking about Saladino? I cannot understand like what is the problem with bacon now. Um, Steve says Saladino says high omega 6 content, high in most bacon. I mean, yes. Um, that is why I say try to get the best quality pigs that you can. I mean, getting ones that are well raised, that have spent a lot of their day, in sunlight so that their skin and their fat is not so high in omega 6. That's going to be better. But, like I tell you all the time, don't, you're going to feel best if you have beef every day. So I would never recommend that your day consist of, pork, chicken, and fish. Like your day should consist of beef with some pork or with some chicken or with, some fish. It's not, so you're not going to go through a day where you're just eating bacon and chicken and things that have high omega 6. You're going to be, moderating that with eating things that are lower in omega 6. So I don't feel like you need to worry so much about the omega 6. And if you're trying to get through your day where you're eating, pork and chicken, you're not going to feel very good. Like you just, you're not. You got to get more beef or lamb in. Okay, Douglas says BJ's Warehouse has bacon on sale this week for $7.99 for 2.5 pounds of thick cut bacon. Wow. Okay, that is amazing. And I picked up some of the burnt ends this week. No, not burnt ends. What am I saying? Bacon ends or pieces, bacon pieces. And it's basically just like, all the imperfect pieces of bacon. So it was $5 for I feel like it was more than a pound, but maybe it was just a pound. But it was definitely a lower cost. So something to consider. Um, Steve Global Traveler says, considering what pigs and standard chickens are fed, Paul may be right. I'm not going to say no. That's why I say, try to get the best quality that you can. Um, but I don't want to cut out pork altogether. So, don't make that your total day's food. Johnny G says Paul does not recommend pork, bacon, or chicken, but he can rationale fruit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Steve Global Traveler says that said, many folks thrive eating bacon and chicken. I think that people do thrive eating bacon and chicken and other, other ruminant animals. But the people who try to do carnivore with just bacon and chicken, and there are people who try to do that, they don't do well. So don't do that. Do not do that. Um, Paulette says, Glenda, laughing out loud, did Dr. Saladino provide research to back his stance on bacon? Until Dr. Westman say, don't eat bacon, I'll continue eating bacon. Yes, I think that is a very wise approach, Paulette. Perfect, perfect. Um, Let's see. Mike says, I disagree. Chicken naturally can eat and digest grains, seeds, and legumes. Um, I think chicken are actually natural carnivores. So in their natural state, they look for worms and grubs and other kinds of animals, and that's what they eat. So grains and seeds and legumes are not their natural diet. Um, that being said, I don't know. I don't know. I think that you want a pastured chicken that has walked around and fed itself. And assuming it's fed itself on what it wanted to, it's a healthy chicken, and that's what you want. That's what you're looking for. Meat-based musing says I eat animal fat, but I'm interested in bulletproof coffee to make sure I'm eating high fat for mental health. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You could go that approach and just see. You're gonna have to test it for yourself. I feel like I see people do better when they get the beef fat trimmings and they increase the beef by eating more beef fat. Drinking fat doesn't work as well, but try it and let us know, meat-based musings. Give us an update and like do an actual experiment. 1 week with the bulletproof coffee and 1 week with the beef fat trimmings, and let us know. Glenda says he did in fact cite research. All right, well we're gonna I'll have to look for that research and give my actual thoughts after reading the research. Okay, Chris says, oh, speaking of salt, was looking for some salt at work. There were salt packs, but I dropped them because they had dextrose in them. Yes, well, this is what everyone was saying, that there's some sugar in salt to keep it from clumping. So that's the dextrose. So, yeah, there's sugar in literally everything. Everything. So, it's a struggle. It is a real struggle. I know you were disappointed, Chris. I'm disappointed too. I'm disappointed too. Okay, Douglas says pink salt has a more earthy taste to it. Real salt has red. I think you mean Redmond's real salt has a sweet taste to it. Um, that's interesting. I don't know. I'd have to. I don't really know that I remember what Himalayan pink salt tastes like, but yeah, I don't know. It all tastes good to me. I like it. I like it. Okay, so Mike says Saladino fish is bullshit. Wow. Wait, I had never cursed on my on my channel. I apologize. Fish is BS, pig is BS, chicken is BS, no grass fed is BS, but hey, fruits and honey are okay, and buy my supplements, we'll fix it. And he was sensitive to dairy and now he eats them. Yeah, I don't know. He's like his approach it doesn't work for me. And again, I think, and this is what we've been talking about tonight is just um you want to figure out what your goal is and what is the right approach to achieve your goal. And I think if you've got your mental health stuff, you got to really jack that fat up. In with your autoimmune stuff, you want to be very pure. And with the metabolic disease, I think keeping your fat high-ish is important. And if you're just trying to lose some weight, you may have to wait until some of the healing happens, but you want to be aware of how much fat you're having, but you don't necessarily need to cut it super low. There may be a time when, you want to try a very lean, version of carnivore, and that can be hard. That can be hard on your mental health, and it can be hard to stick to. You may have a lot more cravings and all of that. And if you're not like a super athlete and trying to like get really shredded and lean and build muscle, like that just, if you're not doing that, that approach just might not work for you. So, or, it might not fit your lifestyle. So you really have to consider that before you, jump in. But if you, take my course, we can work together to help you figure out what is right for you so that you can go on and do it. And know that over time too, what your needs are will change, what your goals are will change, and what your needs are will change. And so, you can evolve over time with carnivore as well. Okay, let's see. Uh, uh, Vitality 2005 says 205 says, what about beans and pigtails? Um, I don't I don't know. I think you can eat the pigtails, but not the beans. Chris says, I will post in the Facebook group the next time I cook them. I'm craving some, so we'll probably make them this weekend. Excellent. All right, excellent. Um, Douglas says they make pocket-sized Redmond's real salt to carry with you. Also, once I when full carnivore, I collect all the types of salts from around the world. Yes. Yeah, and I always tell people carry salt on your person at all times. Even today, I always have some salt in my bag because you never know when you're going to get that feeling like it hits you and you realize you need more salt. You never know when that's going to come, and you don't want that to happen. You just want to have some salt available that you can put under your tongue really quick. And when you go out, a lot of times like they don't provide enough salt, or the food is not salted enough, and then the salt that's offered, is basically like, you know, junk. It's the Morton's, whatever. It's not good salt. So carry your own salt with you. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, Let's see. Mike says, at meat-based musings and advice, don't fear protein, especially keto people are putting butter and cream on everything, ending up under eating proteins and substituting their umami tastes with fat bombs. So I think that is one of those advices that I think you really have to see whether or not that is right for you. So yes, I think there is a minimum amount of protein that you want to have. I don't know what that is necessarily for each individual person, but you want to be making sure that you're getting, an adequate amount of protein. For me, I feel like that's going to fall anywhere between 80 and 100 grams of protein. Um, and then the fat is what can fluctuate, and it can be more, it can be less. Um, and as I said, I really think that it is more ideal to get your fat in its most unprocessed form, that being, connected to the piece of meat that you're eating, or, trimmings that you bought and you're supplementing what you're eating with that fat. So, things like butter or cream or dairy are going to make people eat more than they would otherwise. It just kind of is kind of how dairy is. Eating more animal fats doesn't necessarily do that. So I don't think you need to fear protein, but I don't think that you necessarily need to over focus on it, especially if you're not doing a significant amount of fitness and working out. So there can be, I think, a benefit to really increasing your protein higher, but there also are drawbacks to it, and you kind of have to balance that for yourself. So some people like really struggle with cravings for sugar, And those people I find do the absolute worst when they bring the fat down and push the protein up, because then, their bodies are screaming out for energy, and the fat's not coming in the way it needs to. And then they land face down in a, chocolate cake. If you're not a person that, has those kind of cravings, or, really struggles with sugar, or sugar addiction, that may not be as much of a problem for you. So I, so I think, again, like that, those are the kinds of considerations that you really have to think about when you are choosing your approach. Um, you may need more moderate protein, you may need higher protein, but there are, drawbacks to going either way, and you have to balance that out with what is going to work for you as an individual. Um, okay, let's see. Christian Heroes, Romeo Graham. Can anyone name any other Black figures in the low carb community besides Ada, Stephanie Keto Person, and Charles Washington? Um, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of us who have channels and are out there publicly speaking. Stephanie has, a channel, so that's definitely a person to go to. Charles Washington, I think, doesn't do a lot of social media, and he's not really into it, so that's not a person, to go see very much of. On my YouTube channel, I think I am linked to other channels of interest. So those are, other people in keto, in carnivore, who, who are Black. So you can check that out. There's not a lot of us. You should start a channel. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Um, Douglas says chicken is always did last in that order. Oh, is always dead last in the order I eat, because they don't eat their natural diet, and it doesn't live long enough to get the nutrients from the food it eats. Um, yeah, good points. I mean, if you can get, a natural chicken, I mean, a chicken that walks around all day and feeds itself, then that is, that's a natural and healthy chicken, and certainly one that I would consider eating. But you it's hard to find a pastured chicken, so it's more expensive. But yeah, that would be a better choice. Oh my God, Paulette, thank you. Dr. Tony Hampton, of course, of course. I mean, he also does talk about carnivore. There's also the fasting doctor, Dr. Cecily Ann. She does keto and fasting, but she also has done significant amount of time doing carnivore herself. So she's another one. So these are channels I already do have linked to my channel. So if you go to my channel, I think you should. There's a tab that's like, I don't know, my other channels or my favorite channels or something like that. So you can you'll see them linked there. Okay, Johnny G, coffee is the devil. Yes. Yeah, coffee, me and coffee. I'm in and out of it, but yeah. Let's see. IR Steven says, I just heard of this Saladino person. Just looking at his posts, he seems to be chasing clout. Yeah, once he started telling people to eat honey, and then it was discovered that he is sponsored by the Honey Association of America, it was, a lot of people lost a lot of faith at that point. Okay, Virgo Lady 77. Yes, I keep Redmond's Mini in my purse. Nice. Excellent. Excellent. Um, and Vitality says, what are natural sources of magnesium? Meat. There's magnesium in the food that you eat. There's also magnesium in Epsom salts. You don't have to take Epsom salts. You can take an Epsom salt bath, and you will absorb the magnesium through your skin. So it does not need to be eaten. And that's a natural source. Uh, Okay, so Terry asked, where do you get the minis? Yes, you have to order. I think you can order the minis from Redmond's. directly. And I don't know, you may be able to use my code to order that. So definitely go in the description box of this video and you'll find the link in the for the code to Redmonds. Um, LaShawn Terry, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Um, Cali Girl says first started carnivore, was eating a block of cream cheese and was eating more and slowly dropped 23 pounds in 4 months. That's awesome. Okay. So, like I said, not everybody has a problem with dairy, but, that definitely is a thing that is a problem for a lot of people, but not everybody. So awesome, Cali Girl. I am glad that you were able to eat that cream cheese and still drop. Okay, let's see. Douglas says, oh yeah, so Redmond's Real Salt, they sell salt in a small container that's basically, I don't know, it's like this big. It's the size of a small chapstick or lip balm or something. Yeah. Um, and LaShawn Terry says, I'm relaxed carnivore if anybody wants to take a look at my channel. Yes, absolutely. So, everyone definitely take a look at that and that can work. So Cali Girl says now 6 months later, I now get hungry and not losing any more weight, although I'm eating less. I just cannot eat a lot. What the heck? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the first things I would think is just to cut out the dairy and just see what happens, for a couple weeks. See what happens. Um, and and just look at what you're actually eating, because I think that also a lot of times people, um you you think you're eating enough fat, but you're thinking you're eating high fat, and it may not be high enough fat for you, as an individual. So that's something to think about. Audra, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. You caught the live. I haven't seen you in ages. So welcome. And you love the interview with Dr. Shafee. Thank you. Yeah, I was really glad that he was able to, to release that. So that was really cool. And I had an awesome time talking to him. So I really enjoyed that. And I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it as well. Okay. All right. So we have gone through a lot, and then I didn't even talk about. I think that there are other things that, and other approaches that are added to carnivore, like fasting, like doing high protein, lower fat, or protein sparing, that are, I want to say like carnivore 2.0, or they're advanced carnivore. So don't start with that. Get yourself used to eating high fat. Get yourself used to eating more protein or more meat than you may have in years if you're coming to this from vegan. Get yourself used to not having sugar and not having anything sweet. Let all of that stuff get itself sorted out for the first month or two, and then naturally fasting will come in as you just like stop being hungry all the time, and stop snacking, and then over time you can start incorporating more and more fasting, but don't jump into it right away, because that, I think that tends to be a problem. And with the higher protein, lower fat, you are going to have to pay attention to the signals that your body is giving you, as to whether or not it likes it. And it could be that, that approach just doesn't work for you that well, or it could be great for you. So you just kind of have to see, and you got to pay attention. Okay, Maria says, I've been doing carnivore for only a week and have been feeling a little weak, and my hands feel a little bit tight, like when I used to have Chinese food from salt, I guess. But but am having little salt. Um, I don't know. The fatigue would suggest to me that, and the weakness suggests to me that you actually need more electrolytes. Not just salt, but the electrolytes as a whole. And in fact, Generally I like Keto Chow. They have an electrolyte mix that I think is really, pretty good. It's pretty even. It works well for a lot of people. That's one option. Redmond's Real Salt. They also have an electrolyte mix. I would get the one that's plain and does not have stevia or anything in it. And that is a slightly different formulation, so different people do better with that one. And then there's, another one called Limit that Rob Wolf makes. A lot, people do well with that one, although it's very expensive. But people seem to do well with it. And then there's a host of electrolytes that you can get on Amazon from lots of different people. I definitely recommend getting it plain, unflavored, no sweetener, no stevia, no nothing in it, just the electrolytes. Um, but the different people do better or worse with different ones, so you just kind of have to keep trying them. But um, but I think Keto Chow is a good place to start. It's moderate, mild, and works well for people. Okay, so um, I am going to come to a close now because I've been talking for 2 hours now. I appreciate all of you who hung in here and listened to all of this. Go ahead and hit that like button, click subscribe, and click the little bell icon to get notification every time I post a video. And I appreciate all of you for being here. I have loved this conversation. Sign up on my email list so you can get notified when I launch this course. And I look forward to seeing you again. I will see you soon. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.